I recently completed a Rhine Getaway river cruise on the Viking Einar. It was supposed to be on the Viking Sigrun, but the boat was changed at the last minute. We were told the longboats are exactly the same, so this overview should give you an idea of the layout of both of these longboats. Also, Viking always decorates and designs their ships exactly the same, so there isn't a difference in that regard either. So I will post this video under both names since I'm not sure which boat will be used in the future. This video will only cover the embarkation process and the ship layout. Look for my other videos that cover the Rhine Getaway cruise experience, ports of call, and excursions. I have left links to those videos in the description. We embarked on the boat in Amsterdam at a convenient location to the central part of town. The dock is an easy Uber ride from the airport. I arrived 3 days early in order to explore Amsterdam on my own and had to check out of the hotel in the morning. We were told we could board at 3 p.m., but I arrived at 10 a.m. to see if I could drop off my luggage. This was no problem. I walked directly onto the boat and deposited my luggage by reception. Each time I boarded the boat at the various ports, there was always a ramp that wasn't too steep. This was great for seniors and anyone with mobility issues. After depositing my luggage, I set out exploring the city. I returned later that afternoon and officially checked in. I received a key card that served as my room key and card to get on and off the boat. I had been on a Viking ship before and was greeted by a plethora of staff members that gave me a wet towel to wash my hands, some champagne, and ushered me to my room. This didn't happen this time, maybe because I arrived early. I was simply given my key and pointed to the direction of my room. The lounge, however, was open and people were taking advantage of a light snack and cocktails. We were instructed to report for a mandatory meeting at 6 p.m. Many passengers hung out in the lounge until then. At 6 p.m. they had the meeting, which introduced us to the crew, covered safety issues, and reviewed the itinerary for the next day. An hour and 15 minutes later, we were told to go to our rooms, put on our life jackets, and then report to our muster stations. After that, we were served dinner. So that was Embarkation Day. Now I'll share an overview of the boat. First, a few facts. Both the Einar and Sigrun hold 190 guests, 53 crew members, and were built in 2019. I stayed in a French Balcony Stateroom, and I'll give you an overview of the room later in the video. The boat is divided into 4 decks. I'll start on the main or bottom deck and move my way up. The main deck consists of only water-level staterooms that have small windows at water level. All the stateroom hallways basically look the same. The second level, or mid-deck, which is where I stayed, has French balcony staterooms on one side and veranda suites on the other. Midship on this level is the reception or guest services, a small shop, an elevator, and on both sides is a little balcony where you can step out to take in the views. To the front of the ship is the main restaurant where all the meals were served. More on the restaurant later. Moving to the upper deck, you will find a mix of staterooms and the largest suites on the boat. Midship on this level is a small internet space, library, a few lounge chairs, an elevator, and importantly, a refreshment area on both sides of the boat. You can get coffee, tea, water, cookies, and pastries here. Moving forward, there is the lounge, which was always a center of activity. There is a bar that straddles the middle of the lounge and plenty of comfortable seats. If you continue walking through the lounge, you run into the Aquavit Terrace, which has both an indoor and outdoor area. It was one of the best places to get a nice view of the river, but stay a little warmer. And finally, the top deck, or sun deck, has the best views on the ship. It has a walking track, shuffleboard, putting green, and an abundance of lounge chairs. It was cold on this cruise, so it probably wasn't used as much as it would have been in warmer weather. There was one day when we were going through one of the most scenic areas on the Rhine with numerous castles. Everyone bundled up, used their supplied blankets, and enjoyed the views while they passed out hot chocolate. The room I stayed in was a French balcony room. It is called a French balcony because it only has a narrow railing with a sliding glass door. You can open the sliding door to see out, but there is no place to step out. It worked well for me to take pictures. There's a queen-size bed flanked by two very narrow nightstands that had a little sliding shelf to maximize the table length. There were both European and American electrical outlets on both sides, but no USB ports. I had to use a travel adapter to plug in some of my electronics. There is a long counter that extends on the other side of the room. On top of the counter is an ice bucket and a large bottle of water that was consistently refilled throughout the trip. There are also a few desk items, including the Viking daily newsletter and the electronic radios that you use for excursions. There were also more electrical outlets and two USB ports here. A large TV and mirror sit above the counter. There is a small desk area with stool, drawers, and a mini fridge. The mini fridge was not stocked with any beverages. The entrance hallway had two closets, one with just hanging space and the other with some open shelves and a safe. This is where the blow dryer and shoehorn were stored. There was a thermostat by the door that was easy to operate. You needed to put your key card in the slot by the door to operate the lights, which was great because you didn't lose your card. However, the one downside was that you couldn't charge your electronics when you were away. The bathroom had a shower with a detachable shower wand and a couple tiny shelves for your toiletries. The other side of the bathroom had a sink with some shelves above and below. It was tight, but since it was just me, I felt like I had everything I needed. There was a small space underneath the bed to store your luggage, and I was happy to see that they had at least 4 hooks to hang towels. I felt like the room was very well designed and functional. My only complaint was that the bed was extremely hard. I asked if they had any additional padding, and they put the same quilt that was on top of the bed under the sheet, which wasn't a great solution. Otherwise, I was pleased with the room. Now let's talk about the restaurant. All the tables were group seating. It was quite fun to meet different people at each meal. Every day was a different menu. There were always standard choices on one side of the menu and daily new options on the other. There were usually 3 choices for appetizers, entrees, and desserts. One night they had a German buffet, but otherwise everything was served to you. It was a tall task to serve so many people in a short amount of time, so it always seemed like the staff was running, but they were very friendly and did their best to accommodate everyone. One other note, riverboats often double dock, so you might be required to walk through a different boat to get to yours. In those times, your view of the river could be blocked. This isn't a huge problem because you could always go up to the sun deck. So that's it. The ship had a very simple layout and was easy to navigate. Again, look for additional videos I have shared on the Viking Rhine Getaway cruise, as well as excursions and ports of call. For senior and solo travelers, check out the Senior Solo Travel website and the Travel Facebook forum where you can interact with other travelers. I have left links to all of these sites and videos in the description below. And to follow more of my senior and solo travel journeys, please click the subscribe button below. Cheers!